This man was also the youngest person ever elected president. Do you think people should be wary? Oh man, this youngin's coming in to be president.
Well, he wasn't a child.
Hey, you're back! Awesome! I got another round for you. Come on, let's toast some history.
Now that's good history.
Welcome back to A Toast History. It's been a while. So, today, we go over my honoree. You all know him as Ask Not What Your Country Can Do For You. Ask What You Can Do For Your Country. Sorry, Jack, my Boston's a little off. I'll work on it throughout the show. But today, it's what we can do for him. It's his birthday. Let me tell you about our 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was the 35th President of the United States. He was a senator from Massachusetts, and he was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from Massachusetts. His military service, he served 4 years in the Navy, going to the rank of lieutenant. He won the Pulitzer Prize for his book Profiles in Courage. Before you all knew him as President Kennedy, or even Senator Kennedy, he was a military man. He served the Navy. He was a Navy man. Woo! And this happens to be Military Appreciation Month. Navy man! Thanks, Jack. All right. Now, he wasn't cleared to go in the Navy. He was very sickly as a child. He was very sickly as an adult. You might look at him and think, oh, he looks really healthy. He was not. He was very sickly, and several times they thought he was going to die. So, how did he get in the Navy, you ask? His family was one of the richest families in the country. And when you're one of the richest families in the country, you don't see Donald Trump or Bill Gates. You don't see them going to their city hospital for medical care. No. He has his own private doctor who comes to the house. And his dad paid him to write up a certificate of health, of good health. Well, I guess you didn't have to deal with all those insurance problems, did you? We didn't sit on the phone for an hour waiting for somebody to pick up. And he writes up the certificate of good health, clearing him, saying he's ready to be a fighting man. And they let him in. Now, once he was in, he showed that he really had the stuff. He rises to the rank of lieutenant and commands his own boat, the PT-109. Now, in a conflict in the Solomon Islands against the Japanese, his boat gets cut in half. He loses some man, but he gathers what's left of him, and he talks to him like, hey, what do we want to do? Do we want to surrender, or do we want to try to get away? The boat's cut in half. They're not going to be able to fight. They don't want to surrender, so they swim, and he helps them get to one of the local islands in order to save them. They're stuck on this island. In order to get back home, he gets a coconut and writes his SOS and gives it to a native tribe who gets it to another base, and they come and rescue them. But on his desk, the rest of his presidency, he had that coconut with the SOS. It was not the original one, it was a replica. But he still always wanted to remember that engagement. They actually found the dang boat. The PT-109, they knew who it was. They found it. Now, Robert Ballard, the man who found the Titanic, found this boat. Now, he said it was a lot harder to find the Titanic. A lot of people knew where the Titanic was when it fell in its coordinates. And it's a pretty dang big boat compared to the PT-109. There's no comparison. It's a lot bigger boat. it'd be hard to miss. I'm not a scrounger. I'm not a naval expert. But I think the Tai Tang MP209 is a bit of a different story. He said it was like finding a needle in a haystack, but he happened to find the right haystack, and he found it. Because of this engagement, he is still to this day the only president who has received a Purple Heart. Now, John F. Kennedy had a lot of different policies that not normal presidents didn't have. He had what they called an open door policy, where he micromanaged everything. He wanted to know everything. He wanted you to come to him, not through my staff. Hey, if you have a problem, you have an issue, you come to me. I handle it. I fix the problems. I know Robert Kennedy was his chief of staff, and now he's supposed to be the head of the staff. But a lot of times he'd say, no, come to me. And there are times that him and Robert got into arguments about this. I'm supposed to be chief of staff. Well, you know what? I know what I want to do. Why do I need to involve you? And it was a clear brother rivalry that anybody who has brothers or even brothers and sisters, if you have a sibling, you know what I'm talking about. And this did not go away when you put the suit and tie on. Now, there's one thing we got to talk about. Because I don't like saying bad things about my guests on their birthday. But this is one we have to talk about because you can't discuss the man without talking about it. It was the worst thing he did during his entire presidency. Bring it on up, the Bay of Pigs. Okay, now this was a bad thing. We had a problem with the Russians. We were having problems with Cuba. A communist regime took over in Cuba, which liked the Russians because they were communistic. And we didn't like this. We didn't like Russia and communism being right across the bay from us. We didn't like that. Okay. So he, with his words, his signature, his go-ahead, got CIA agents and tried to back a local guerrilla group to assassinate and overtake Castro and supplant the government. And it failed horribly, and we got caught. They knew it was us that did it. So, this could have ruined his career. But Kennedy gets on the TV and says, hey, I messed up. I screwed up. A politician said he messed up and owned up to what he did and didn't blame somebody on his staff or the area or the culture or the economics or somebody else in the back room or the previous president or the next president. He owned up to what he messed up. Yep, I messed up, guys. Sorry. And carried on with his day. He took responsibility for his actions. Man, we miss politicians like you. It saved his political career. People could trust him. Like, you know what? I messed up at work all the time. He messed up on the job, but he owned up to it. Like, all right, I messed up. Let's move on. And he gained a new national respect for him. And he turned a bad thing that could have ruined his career into a good thing. And that's why we are talking about on his birthday. It was the man he was. You come to me, I'll get it done. And if I mess up, I'll tell you I messed up. But you know what? You're not going to blame anybody else. You blame me, but you're going to blame me for my success or my failures because it was my call. I can see why you didn't like the communists being that close. I can see how that can cause a few issues and none of them are good. Now, after the Bay of Pigs, Cuba just doesn't go away. There's still problems. They're still down there. They're still communists. There's still a thorn in this man's side. We have the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, this is one of his biggest accomplishments, they say, during his presidency, and one of the most notable that you know of. Now, we know that they're communists. We know they're buddy-buddy with Russia. So we're keeping a pretty good eye on them. Be like, you know what? You're buddy-buddy with Russia. We're not going to invade you again. That failed. So we're going to just keep an eye on you. And surveillance plane picks up nuclear warheads in Cuba that are Russian. Now, we know they had nuclear capabilities. But from Cuba, we know that they could hit anywhere in the U.S. Now, this is an issue. So, ideas on Kennedy's desk, his staff. We can do an airstrike, hit the missiles before they get off the ground, and hope we get them all. We can just diplomatically, they're already talking in the UN about this, we can just let them figure out and go from there. Most of the people are saying do the airstrikes, but Kennedy does not want to start a war. So he chooses, kind of like his predecessors. His predecessors believed in containment. We're not going to fight, we're going to contain. And so he puts our Navy out there in open water. We're just outside the Cuban boundaries and waits for the Soviet ships that are bringing more nukes, hence the rumor that they were going to resupply with more. And creates a blockade of Cuba. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. So, out there, Kennedy has his ships. While they're talking about in the UN, while everything's going on in Washington, and it's basically a staring contest. What's going to happen? There's even another politician you guys might have heard of on that ship, a very young John McCain. He was on the ship during this Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, we wait, and here come the ships. We basically draw a line in the sand. If you cross this line, we will sink you. Now, the fleet stops just across the border, and basically we have a staring contest, and eventually they turn around and they go home. And war is averted. It's the closest that we were ever to nuclear war with Russia. Hopefully now, and hopefully ever. Hopefully that is never a trigger that has to be pulled. This man increased the space exploration program. He said we would get to the moon within a decade. It's a sad thing he never got to see it. The Russians may have beat us to space, but we have the moon, baby, and our flag's up there. Come on, 51st state, the moon. This man also created the Peace Corps, which all their philanthropy and their good deeds, this man started it. You kept the peace during the Cuban Missile Crisis, went head to head, and they blinked. You created the Peace Corps, so hopefully to this day we never have to deal with nuclear war or another war ever again, we hope. And you start us on a path that will lead us out of this world. Hey, man. Cheers that. That's a pretty damn good job. Now, a few things about John F. Kennedy you do not read in your history books. Before Donald Trump, this man was Mr. Moneybags. So, hey, during his entire tenure while he was senator or while he was president, he donated all his earnings to the charity. He didn't need it. He's got a boatload of money at home and probably a boat or two. He's one of only 2 presidents to be voted in while he was already serving in the Senate. The other one, not to brag, Ohio boy, Warren G. Harding. Haven't done him yet, but we will get to him, I promise. This man was the last person to wear a top hat at his inauguration. I wish I had a top hat for this shot. That's awesome. You stay classy, Jack. Come on, Joe. Why couldn't you sport the top hat? Bring it back, man. Bring it back. I'd love to see it. Now, I'm about to tell you 2 names that I never thought I would say in the same sentence. Larry King and John F. Kennedy. I'm saying these 2 in the same sentence because during a joyride down in Florida, Larry King was not paying attention, and he ran in and rear-ended a vehicle. Oh my gosh, he gets out of the car, and the other guy gets out of the car, and it's Senator John F. Kennedy. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Senator. I'm sorry. And Kennedy's pissed that he hit his car. super pissed and starts going off on him. Then he realizes who it is. It's Larry King. So Larry King goes and let's exchange information. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. And he says, you know what, Larry, I'm going to let it go. But you better vote for me come November. But I'm going to get in the car and you stay way behind me. I'd have loved to have been the cop that came to that scene. Larry King, John F. Kennedy. All right, can I get your information, both of you? I got to tell my wife about this. This man was given last rites 4 times during his lifetime before he actually even died. Once when he was 2. Twice because of his Addison's disease. And once before a back surgery because they thought he might not make it. We might put him under and he might not wake up. I just picture this guy with Monty Python. His man's dead. But I'm getting better. You're not fooling anybody, you know. I think I'll go for a walk. This man got up and went for a friggin' walk. This man was a James Bond fanatic. Even helped get one of the movies produced. He read the books. He watched the movies. He loved James Bond. But this man on Dr. No had his own personal screening premiere at the White House. Hey, James Bond's British. Way to support the Allies, man. I like it. Just after World War II. Proud of you, man. Proud of you. Conveniently, we all know the Cuban Missile Crisis. We all know we had trouble with Cuba and things were going to happen. This man was a fan of Cuban cigars. So he asked one of his people to purchase cigars for him. And he asked how many. He's like, as many as you can get me. 1,200 Cuban cigars show up at the White House. The next day, Cuba is outlawed and banned, and you are not allowed to buy Cuban products. But you know, I see what you did. America might not see what you did because not in any history books, but I see what you did. Now, I said I would not talk to anything bad because it's his birthday. Another thing you have to talk about is the assassination. Because like any good storybook, it all has to come to an end eventually. And this man, it was his assassination. Now, I know there are times we have fun here at the bar, and I go over the conspiracy theories or what if this happened, Roswell, whatever. Okay, but I'm not doing that today. This is a man who lived a good life, was a good president, did a lot for this country. And it's his birthday, we're going to treat him as such. President Kennedy is going for re-election. Now, people think he's going to win. But you still got to get out there and do the work. See what happened with my Truman video. When somebody thinks he's going to win, and then the other guy works hard and he does, and Dewey ends up losing because he expected to win. This guy goes out on the campaign trail. He wants to win. He wants a second term. He's like, I got more I can do. And he's losing Texas. So he goes to Texas, which statistically speaking has always kind of been leaning toward the Republicans. He's a Democrat. So in Texas, you got to put in the work if you want to win as a Democrat. So he goes to the campaign throughout Texas, trying to win it. He's in Dallas, in a convertible, waving, taking in the sights. And his last words that you will hear from John F. Kennedy, the person standing next to him says, you can't say Dallas didn't treat you well. You certainly can't. And then the bullet strikes him. Those are the last words we will hear from John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He will die at Parkland Hospital at 1 p.m. on November 22nd, 1963. Now, we've had other presidents that were assassinated. But what this one hit home was there's only two presidents that probably did the most impact during the assassination: John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. Why? Both of them were seeking a second term. And we wonder what they could have done with that term because they did so well in their first. Lincoln just won the Civil War. What could he do when not in wartime? Kennedy just stood up to the Russians, the space program, the Peace Corps. We all just talked about that stuff. What more can you do? It's the potential that they had. And when you see potential snuffed out, we see athletes and we say, oh, this guy's got so much potential. And then when we see him wasted, it breaks our hearts. These people, we didn't know. We had so much potential, but we didn't know what they were going to do. They were stolen away from us. We, the American people, didn't vote them out. Somebody who did not believe in our political process took them out. Took it out of our hands and put it in theirs. And I'm sorry, that's selfish. I don't care who you are. I don't care how bad a job or how good a job you thought they did. That's selfish. It's we the people on all our documents, and we have the right to decide who it is. And one of the main reasons why Kennedy ranks so high up there is we, as a nation, watched him die. Not me, I was not alive. But my parents watched him on TV die. Get shot. Reagan got shot, but he ends up surviving. But we, as a nation, watched him from our TV screens. Lincoln, he got shot. You knew about it in Washington, D.C., but California wouldn't know it for about a week. That Lincoln. And it'd be all like hearsay. Oh my gosh, no breaking news. You had Walter Cronkite come on and say, at 1 p.m. today, the president died. And you see Walter Cronkite, who has covered wars, disasters, choke up on screen. One of the mainstays of the news business. Anybody who picks up a microphone on the news wants to be Walter Cronkite, and this man's choking up. To John F. Kennedy. This man was the richest president before Donald Trump. This man could have sat back, lived the life of luxury, and not give two craps about the American people. But he said, no, I have more to give. And he served in the Navy. He served as a senator. He served as president. He did everything he could to serve us instead of having people serve him. And he died because of it. This man has an eternal flame on his grave at Arlington Cemetery. I've seen it twice. So that we never forget him. And we never forget what he did for this country. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, may we never forget what you did for us. And may we always remember, it's not what your country can do for you. It's what you can do for your country. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Now that's good history.